Hey guys, Meticulous Maynard here. Welcome back to another episode on the Forester XT. Today I'm going to be wrapping up the rear end and getting that bumper cover back on. Where we last left off, I was securing the trailer hitch and crash bar to the body of the car. It was a bit of a task getting it on there, but I'll let past me explain that. So that taught me a little bit. I was worried that maybe one of the bolts over on that side there was cross-threading or something, so I gave it a little bit of a easy time and then ended up with an extension on this guy, just sending it home. So everything down here is going pretty well now. I'm pretty happy with how that trailer hitch is sitting. The crash bar is mostly on, although I still have to go in and hit all these 12s real quick and tighten them. I wanted to leave them loose while I was fitting everything up, just in case I tightened them down just a little bit wrong. But now that everything's sitting right, I can tighten those up, and then the crash bar is done, trailer hitch is done, and I can throw the rear bumper cover back on, which you can see over there. So the last thing I need to do back here is get the rear bumper cover on. And unfortunately, this isn't as easy a task as just simply mounting it up. The big problem I have here is that these are the corner mounting tabs. They bolt up right here on the car. And in this case, this tab's actually broken and it's only hanging on by this thin web, and I can already see it's like cracking right there. So I'm worried that, you know, at highway speeds, this guy's just gonna tear out. The whole thing's gonna start to flap out because, of course, this is the back of the car. So this is gonna wanna get pulled out by the wind. And even the backup clamp here seems to have snapped on me. So I'm not too worried about that if I can fix this, because this is where the bulk of the stress is gonna be. So, and then on even the other side, that same tab's completely broken off. So it's just an issue of everything so rusted and corroded back here that I really need to come up with a new solution for how to hang these. So I'm gonna actually cut what remains of this piece off because I have a better solution, I think, that involves using some stainless hardware so things don't rot out quite so quickly. So I'm gonna yank that off. We'll slap this on the car so I can mark up some positions, and then we'll hop over to fixing this. So the bumper now temporarily mounted in place. You can see it's still flip-flopping around. I cut off the tab that's on the inside of the bumper cover here. This is the hole that I'm going for. That's the one that I still need to use, and the tab on the bumper cover broke off. So I'm gonna take this piece, and using a silver Sharpie, because the inside is black, I'm gonna go in and mark my hole location. And now I know exactly where I need to go with the threaded insert to reinforce this cover. So before I actually dotted these, before I threw it on the car, I took some 80 grit and roughed up the inside of the bumper. And that's just so that I open up the plastic here a little bit and give the adhesive I'm going to use a little bit of tooth to bite to. The other thing you'll notice is that because I sanded it, the silver actually came in very close to the same color as the sanded stuff. So I took a black Sharpie, hit the center, so I know exactly where it is. And now I can take these guys, which are 316, should say somewhere on it, yeah, 316 stainless. These are adhesive-based threaded inserts. So you can see on the inside I've got a little it's M6x1 thread, and all this is just like a large flange that the glue has something to grab to, and it's got all these holes so that the glue can get more surface area and really grab onto the insert. For the bumper, I had to take a couple of them and actually custom grind them. And then if we take this and position it roughly over where our hole's going to be, you can see that I kind of ground it to fit the inside profile of the bumper there. So I'm going to mix up some of my epoxy here, and I'm going to apply it to the inside face. Then I'm going to take my insert and apply it to it, and that'll be the first coat. That'll be kind of just like holding it in place. And then I'll build up over the flange around it with more epoxy and also some fiberglass mat. I have a whole bunch of it somewhere around the shop. So I'm going to use that to kind of build up and build a layer of fiberglass that actually holds it all on the inside of the bumper here. And that should make this super structural and take any of the stress off of compromised fasteners like this. So yeah, let's get this together. I'll set up the tripod so you guys can see me doing the epoxy work here, and we'll at least get them on, the first coat on and everything. So I threw the pinch clamps on them because the inserts wanted to kind of slide down by the force of gravity. So you can barely see it underneath there, but that one's right lined up with the dot I made. And same with this side. So now I'm just going to let those two set for a little while, and then I'll come on and start adding in more material to try to reinforce them. So we can see up here, I've got the threaded insert now glued onto the body. So this bit of stainless is now there. I can screw just an M6 in there. I'm probably going to have to shorten this up so that it'll fit with the body and everything of the car. But this at least gives me the threads I need so that I have something to hold on to. And already that's like super, super strong. And I'm pulling on that with some significant force. So to make sure that doesn't give up, because as I said, that has a lot of force, pull force to it, I'm going to use this. This is just some fiberglass mat material. And in this case, I don't really want the mat, because this would be for like fixing sections of body. What I really want is the fibers. So I can take this and just kind of cut off a whole mess of the stuff that was already kind of coming out, and then I just take it and I'll go over my little mixing palette here, which is just a piece of cardboard, and I'm just going to cut it up into smaller pieces, because this stuff's going to kind of just make up extra reinforcement as I'm going. So I'm going to set this stuff aside for the minute. I'm going to get out my epoxy. We're going to work with a generous amount like that. And I'm just going to start by mixing up the epoxy I have here. And I can take some of the stuff that's still on my palette from me cutting it up and mix that in too. And that creates kind of like, you can now see there's this ball that's a mixture of the epoxy and the fiberglass, and that's exactly what I want, because I can now take this and start to apply it, and you can see that it's making that fiberglass layer right over the insert. And this is where a lot of the holding strength is going to come for this insert, is that there's going to be this layer of fiberglass over everything to keep it from slipping, or keep it from getting pulled up from the body. So we'll jump ahead on the time lapse now to when I've got this actually kind of situated. I actually think I'm almost out of epoxy, which means I didn't even mix up enough. So that's most of the way towards where I want it to be now. So you can barely see the insert now underneath. That's just the epoxy and this fiberglass mesh. That stuff's kind of got some epoxy on it, so it's sticky. That's that fiberglass mesh inside the epoxy there, holding it in place. And now that's like super on there and everything. So that's really the last thing I need to do to get this bumper ready to go back on. Okay, so we were going around and the rear bumper is now mounted. Everything's looking super good here. Apparently my flashlight just decided to quit on us. Just as I was doing that, there was some debate going on as to where all of the various clips went, and I actually think I'm missing a splash guard right down at the end. It's probably somewhere in my pile in the interior of the car. But this is now on here, like, that's not going anywhere. So let's get the tail lights back on it, and this car is actually going to start to look like a car again. Now that's looking more like a car. How about that? Now, I know she's not a beaut, and she's got her abuse from being an old Subaru and such. I actually fixed this one a little bit. It was, you could almost see the shadow of where this dent was, but I did a little bit of heat gun and massaging to get that kind of back. So now it's much less noticeable. Obviously scratches, dents, all sorts of lovely things. So not the cleanest rear end of a car ever, but it's my daily driver, and I don't really, like, she does what she needs to do, so it doesn't really matter too much. I'd like to get her cleaned up some point in the future, but biggest priority right now is getting her back on the road. So yeah, I think this is a great place to wrap this episode up. I'm really happy seeing the bumpers on. We got the sway bar underneath that you can barely see now. Trailer hitch and everything that was hidden underneath the bumper cover as well. Next episode, we'll be digging into our fuel lines underneath, so keep tuned for that. If you guys like this, give it the thumbs up, leave a comment down below, all the usual stuff, you know, help keep this channel growing. It's great to keep seeing the subscriber count growing day after day, so I know that you guys are interested in what we're doing here. So yeah, until next time, catch you guys later.